Welcome once again to Across the Goal Line, coming to you right here from the field. Corey Means, and as always, I got Luke Gusso right beside me. How are you today, Luke?
Pretty good, Corey. Last week was a fun episode. We had Brandon Orsich on the show. He's going to Pitt Bradford to play baseball this year. He's going to be a freshman up there. But anyways, yeah, we had him on the show last week, as I just said, and he wanted us to give out his social media information after he had left. He had baseball practice after he left. But anyways, like I said, he wanted us to give out his social media information, and we didn't. We totally forgot about it. And he got a little mad, upset with us. So we're going to have to see if we're going to let him on the show again in the future. But if you liked having good old BO28 on the show, let us know on either Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the YouTube comment section as well. He was on episode 14. And use that hashtag ATGL16 while doing so.
All right, today you mentioned episode 14. Today is episode 15, and we have much to talk about, especially about the WWE, as we have our Battleground predictions, as well as how the WWE Draft played out here on Tuesday, seeing where our favorite superstars ended up. We also have what happened at the Open Championship and the ESPYs. And to round things out, we of course have your weekly NASCAR result, which we'll get to, but first we have the results from our Question of the Week poll last week on Twitter. The question was, would you rather see Brock Lesnar in the WWE, the UFC, or both? And you guys responded by 54% of you saying that you would like to see him in both WWE and UFC, while 31% of you said only the WWE, and then the final 15% said just the UFC. So, with that being said, let's get things officially started here with your weekly NASCAR result. It was Sunday from New Hampshire, and was won by Matt Kenseth, making it his second of the season, and his second straight at New Hampshire. He won last year's race, of course. And he gained the lead in this one with about 45 laps left, and then again with like 30 or so laps to go. And he pulled away late into the race to notch this win. It was a fairly uninteresting race as a whole because we had two guys pretty much dominate the entire race lap-wise, and then Kenseth had a huge lead at the end. He was able to just coast across the finish line at the end with no one really behind him to try to catch him. So, pretty boring. And then we had Martin Truex Jr., who is the leader for NASCAR in laps led. He led 123 laps, and then Kyle Busch, who was third in that same category, led a race-high 133 laps. And it's kind of a boring race because of that. You just have two guys going back and forth. However, those two guys did not finish in the top five. The top five finished as follows: Tony Stewart, Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, and Greg Biffle, 2 through 5 respectively. And then Kyle Busch, as I just mentioned, he finished 8th, and then Truex Jr. was in 16th, despite those two guys leading over 250 laps in the entire race. So it's been a pretty common theme with NASCAR. A bunch of these guys, especially Truex, leading a lot of laps in the race, but ended up finishing not even the top 10. So it's kind of interesting looking forward in the NASCAR season. But an interesting thing is Matt Kenseth's car failed the post-race inspection after the race. However, he still is credited with the victory, and all that would really happen to him is just maybe a fine of some sort. Not really much punishment for him, despite his car failing a post-race inspection.
Yeah, he'll probably get fined. His crew chief might get suspended there as well. But yeah, as you said there, Corey, Loudon, New Hampshire, where they race at for the New Hampshire race, it's a short track. I think it's a half a mile, and it really wasn't that exciting, as you said. Kenseth won a second consecutive race at New Hampshire. I think you said that as well. And the cool thing I think about New Hampshire, they get a lobster. Yes, a lobster as the trophy. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, next week the chase will hit Indianapolis for the Brickyard, which is an iconic race because, of course, the winner gets to kiss the bricks, which is the finish line at the Brickyard here, which is why it is named such. So we'll see who kisses the bricks on next Sunday moving forward.
Jeff Gordon also returning, coming out of retirement to replace Dale Earnhardt Jr., who will be out for the next 2 races. Indianapolis this Sunday, and Pocono the following week. Yes, Pocono's in Pennsylvania. They race there beginning of June. And like I said, I've never been to a NASCAR race before. So let's use that hashtag again out there, folks. Get Luke to a NASCAR race and see if I can go to Pocono on July 31st and see Jeff Gordon come out of retirement and race his second race of the season. Now, if he wins the race, I believe Dale Earnhardt Jr. will get credit for it, and Dale Jr. will be in the chase come September.
All right, with that being said, we're going to move on to the Open Championship. Is for golf. It's the 145th edition of the Open Championship from Royal Troon in Scotland, and it featured many feats of history with it, as Henrik Stenson wins the tournament with a score of 20 under par, beating out Phil Mickelson of the United States, who finished at 17 under par in a final round that was pretty iconic, one of the best final rounds you'll ever see in golf, as they both put on an absolute show. Stenson, it's his first ever major championship, and Stenson and Phil, they were the only two guys really battling for the Claret Jug, which is the name of the title that they get for the Open Championship, as both were over 10 strokes ahead of the third place by the end. As J.B. Holmes, who finished third, he was only at 6 under. So Phil Mickelson, who was in second place, was 11 strokes ahead of third place, which is just astonishing. So both those guys dominated the entire time. It looked like Phil's tournament after the first round, because he carded his career best at a major, 63 and 8 under, and he had a chance for history going for 62, which is a score that has never been done at any major tournament. A 63 has happened about, I want to say 29 times, if I remember correctly. It might be more, but he lipped out a birdie on 18 that looked like it was definitely going to fall in. It just barely did not fall. He misses the 62, ends up with an 8 under 63, as mentioned previously. But then Stenson came to the forefront of this tournament after a nice second round where he went about 5 or 6 under par and got to just 1 stroke back of Lefty going into the weekend. Phil was at 10 under and Stenson was at 9 under at the time. And then both men didn't really do a whole lot in round 3. They did both go under par, as Stenson moved himself up to 12 under and got a 1-stroke lead over Phil Mickelson heading into the final round on Sunday, as Phil was at 11 under par. And then they put on an absolute show. As I mentioned, they both traded putts back and forth, a bunch of lead changes, a bunch of swings in the leaderboard amongst those two. They traded putts very early on into the round. But then Stenson, he took his lead that he ended up winning, that he ended up holding on to for the rest of the tournament, thanks to 3 straight birdies on holes 14, 15, and 16 that included a 51-footer on hole 15 to give him, I believe, a 2-stroke lead, and then they traded birdies yet again on 16 to remain that 2-stroke lead. And he had a chance on 17 too to have a birdie, but he missed that one, just barely parred that hole 17. Went to the 18th with a 2-stroke lead, keeping Phil in it. That birdie would have taken Phil pretty much out of the equation, but Phil had a slim chance if he could eagle 18. Phil did not eagle 18, however, and Stenson actually birdied hole 18, and it made for his 10th birdie on the round, as he carded a 8 under 63, just like Mickelson did in the first round. So we start with the 63, we'll end with the 63. Why not? So both these guys scoring extremely low. Phil did not shoot bad whatsoever in this round of golf. He had a very nice round of golf. Bogey-free, 65. That's a 6 under round at Royal Troon. But it just wasn't enough for Henrik Stenson, who was absolutely on fire for 4 of those last 5 holes. He almost had 5 straight birdies to close it out, but 4 out of 5 ain't too bad either. So I talked about history with this tournament, a bunch of feats of history, mostly from Henrik Stenson because of his score of 20 under. We'll start with, that is the lowest in Open history, and is also tied with the lowest in Major Championship history with actually Jason Day, who just at the PGA last year, he was also 20 under par, so that's interesting. Also, his total score, or the actual score, like 71 is par at Royal Troon, like over the 4 rounds, like you add up those scores, like the 63s and whatnot. His score was a total of 264, is the lowest in Major Championship history, and his 63 in the final round is also the lowest by a champion since Johnny Miller in 1973, who was actually on the call for this Open on NBC. So that's another interesting little fact, as the man who was calling it got to see it as well, the 63 in the final round by a champion. It's been done before in the final round. And of course, all across all of golf in major championship history, the 63, but not since 1973 has the champion gotten a 63 in the end. Henrik Stensson's also the first Swedish man to win a golf major. The legendary Annika Sorenstam from Sweden as well. Women's side of things, she did. And also, the last 4 majors have been won by first-time champions, which is another amazing fact, because we had Jason Day win the PGA Championship, as I already mentioned, in 2015. We started off the year with Danny Willett winning the Masters. Dustin Johnson won the U.S. Open a couple weeks ago, and now we have Henrik Stenson winning the Open now. We got the PGA Championship coming up just in 2 weeks now, I do believe. We have one more tournament in between it, the Open and the PGA. It's the Canadian Open, I do believe, the RBC Canadian Open, and then we have the PGA Championship already on the way, so we'll see if maybe we get another first-time champion in there. That would be interesting, keep this whole streak going.
You also have golf at the Olympics coming up, too, from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, at the beginning of August.
We also have golf in the Olympics once again for the first time in a while, I do believe. Not a lot of superstars going to be there because of the Zika virus. Many people are pulling out because of that. They're worried about catching it. So you're not going to see maybe a star-studded lineup for the Olympics in golf, but nevertheless, we do have major championship golf and Olympic golf on the way. So moving forward, last little stat I'll give you is that Phil Mickelson's 17 under par would have been good to win all but I think like 17 Open championships out of the 145. So that's just amazing. He shoots this incredibly low score, but still cannot win this championship. It's just amazing. Also, Phil has I think it's 11 runner-up finishes in majors, which is second all-time to Jack Nicklaus at 19.
Yeah, Lefty's had some issues lately. He hasn't been able to secure a victory. Hopefully he can get one before he retires and whenever he pleases.
I mean, he probably has a long way to go. Golf is pretty much a lifetime sport. I mean,
it is.
The guys can play into their 60s and 70s even, so...
And they always say, what are you going to do when you retire? A lot of people say go golfing all day long. So
I mean, yeah, it's a retiree sport. So
we could be seeing Lefty for another year. We could be seeing him for another 10, 20 years.
Not to mention they have their own division almost for seniors, like more like senior citizen level or age guys.
Yeah, the senior league. I think that's what it's called.
Basically,
the senior open or
something like that. They have their own little league for the older guys. The legends of the game mostly play that.
Tom Watson's one of the ones that just retired from there. He played against Tiger Woods recently and almost beat him, I believe, at one of these events a number of years ago. But yeah, Tom Watson.
We'll finish on Tom Watson, I suppose, as we head into the ESPYs.
Look him up.
He's major champion. He's a fantastic golfer. Retired just last year, I do believe, at the last Open, in addition to the Open from St. Andrews. So, yeah, we'll go into the ESPYs now, as I just mentioned. It was just last week, July 13th, hosted by none other than WWE's own John Cena, but opened with Carmelo Anthony, LeBron James, Chris Paul, and Dwayne Wade speaking out on recent killings and how it needs to stop. They came out and had a little segment of their own, a speech, so to speak, to end the violence. And then the show got started, and this night, the ESPYs is basically about highlighting the accomplishments of all the athletes from different sports across the world and all the leagues and whatnot. Some of the awards, for example, are the Men and Women Athlete of the Year for, just regular. They have the Best Team, the Player of the Year, and then the Jimmy V Award for Perseverance is probably one of the largest ones, as it always has one of definitely the best speeches of the night come from the Jimmy V Award for Perseverance, that's for sure. Into the awards now, we have LeBron James. We'll kick it off with him. I mean, he is the guy in NBA. He won the Best Male Athlete, and I do believe he won the NBA's Best Player, but I'm not going to get into that.
He won the Best Championship Performance for the Cavs.
That is also on here.
He won Best NBA Player, as you thought you were right there. And the Cleveland Cavaliers won for Best Outstanding Team, Best Moment, Best Game against the Warriors and with the finals.
I mean, yeah, you can see LeBron just pretty much dominated the ESPYs. As Luke mentioned, Best Championship Performance, Cavaliers won the Best Team. On the women's side of things, the Female Athlete of the Year was Breanna Stewart, who was in college for her performances at UConn, winning 4 straight national championships at UConn.
Unheard of.
It's just because UConn's just a dynasty in women's basketball. I mean, They are one of the longest winning streaks ever in Division I history, men or women. So I think it is the longest they do, like 80 or 90, close to it.
It's up there with the UCLA John Wooden coach teams back in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s.
I think they passed them a couple years ago, back when I think Maya Moore was still on the team, or they came up very short, something like that. I'm not 100% sure. Either way,
still two of the best teams in probably college basketball history.
Absolutely. So, Jake Arrieta, he was the breakout athlete of the year. The best upset went to Holly Holm defeating Ronda Rousey. The best play was Aaron Rodgers' Hail Mary, and it didn't say which one when I looked it up. I'm assuming the one in the playoffs against the Cardinals, though.
No, it was the one against the Detroit Lions on December 3rd on the Thursday Night Football game. I remember watching it. I went nuts. I couldn't believe it happened. You never see a Hail Mary happen in a game. Normally, you can have it happen in Madden or NCAA football, but yeah, the best play was Aaron Rodgers' Hail Mary against the Detroit Lions from Ford Field. But I thought the best play of the year was the botched punt in the Michigan State game, which you will probably never see happen again. You'll see a Hail Mary happen again. I don't think you'll ever see a botched punt ever happen again. So that's why I thought that should have been the best play of the year.
Yeah, I don't even agree with that edition of the Hail Mary being the best one, because of course you look at it, there was a penalty that wasn't definitely a penalty when you actually looked at it.
It's a face mask, wasn't it?
It was a supposed face mask, but you could tell they didn't really get the face mask that much. It was more of a shoulder pad. He got him, but it looked like a face mask, so they called it. So they got the extra play. And then, I mean, how do you not go with the one in the playoffs? It's maybe more important. I mean, they did lose the game, sure, but it's the playoffs. I mean, it's got to be more exciting. And to your point, that botched punt is a lot more exciting, for sure, because of what happened, the ramifications of it, because it was Michigan State, you said?
Yes.
It really hurt Michigan moving forward into trying to get to the college football playoff.
Yes, because if they would have won that game, excuse me, and then beat Ohio State in the regular season finale, they would have been playing in the Big Ten championship game, and if they would have won that, they probably would have been in the college football playoff, not playing Florida in the Buffalo Wild Wings Citrus Bowl.
Exactly. So when you think about that, that really killed their season. But I guess I understand why they did it, you could say.
And another reason why I thought the botched punt was the best play of the year. There was only 10 seconds left in the game. There's less time than that with a Hail Mary, but you'll see a Hail Mary again. You'll never see a botched punt like that from the Michigan State game this past season.
I mean, you may see it, but it's definitely probably a lot less likely because, I mean, you're botching a punt to lose a game. That's unheard of.
Yes.
That's never been seen before, really. So, yeah, I see where you're coming from. I also see why the ESPYs did it. I mean, it's a Hail Mary. I mean, you can't really get more exciting than that. But to your point, you say yes, you can. Moving through these awards, the comeback athlete of the year was Eric Berry from the Kansas City Chiefs as he came back battling cancer and played in this past NFL season. One of the great moments, I think, during the preseason or even the start of the season was his official return to football.
He came back on Monday Night Football, I believe it was, at the end of September, way before the doctors, teammates, coaches thought he would. And he had a fantastic season. Wish him the best of luck in the future. I know he's cancer free now, obviously, since he played, but still, you never want to see somebody, especially with that high of a standard, get cancer and have to go through the battle like he did.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing for him to overcome that and then come out and have a great season in the NFL. Luke already mentioned that the Cavaliers won the best team. Peyton Manning, Abby Wambach, and Kobe Bryant all received icon awards because they've all retired in the past year. Peyton Manning after the end of his 18th NFL season with the Broncos, winning the Super Bowl. Abby Wambach, she retired from the U.S. Women's National Team, which is soccer. Of course, she was the all-time leader in goals for that U.S. Women's National Team. And then Kobe Bryant retired after 20 long seasons in Los Angeles playing for the Lakers and ended it on the final night of the season by scoring 60 points in his final game ever at home against the Utah Jazz. So all very deserving. They got the Icon Award. They had their own little speeches about their legacies and how appreciative they are and how they've influenced further generations in their respective sports. And we'll go on to probably the main event of the ESPYs, the Jimmy V Award for Perseverance. Already previously mentioned on a previous episode of Across the Goal Line, Craig Sager won it. And it's not so much about the award, it's more about the speech and the story behind why they are getting the award. Craig Sager battling cancer and his journey through all of that and how he's come to where he is now, still working despite having cancer, getting treatments all the time. And his speech really reflected that, his journey through his own eyes in his own special way. So, Luke, do you want to comment anything about Sager's speech or anything about the Jimmy V Award in general?
Well, I wanted to hold you up there before you started talking about Jimmy V. Xavier Dobson won the Courage Award it was right before Christmas. He was hanging out with a couple of his friends in Memphis, Tennessee, I believe it was. And, excuse me. And stepped in front of two of his girlfriends, or, friends, that are girls. Best way to explain it. And he was shot and killed for that. But the bullet could have hit those girls, and, just go back and watch the ESPYs to hear the whole story. And then the Pat Tillman Award for Service, Elizabeth Marks, she was in the Army. She lost a leg, and then she became a swimmer, and then she was playing at the...
Are you thinking Paralympics or the Invictus Games?
The Invictus Games is what they are. They were in Orlando back in May, I believe it was, for like 2 weeks. She could have been a part of the Paralympic Games too. Not 100% sure on that, but kudos to Elizabeth Marks for getting the Pat Tillman Award for Service. We all know about Pat Tillman. He played for the Arizona State Sun Devils in college, and then played for the Arizona Cardinals in the National Football League. And then after 9/11, he decided to join the military and was shot overseas in Iraq, Afghanistan, by friendly fire. But yeah, going back to Craig Sager, battled cancer, still did his job for TNT, for Turner Sports. How does he... I don't even know what to say about Craig Sager. I mean, how did he do that? It's just unbelievable. He was battling cancer, decided, he still needed to do his job, and like I said, I don't even know what to say about Craig Sager. Congratulations to him for beating cancer. Keep fighting. I mean, like Jimmy V said in his ESPY speech in 1993, don't give up, don't ever give up.
Exactly, that's exactly what the Jimmy V Award for Perseverance envelops. That's why it's named after him. So I think that's where we can wrap it up for the ESPYs at least.
Do you like what you hear? If so, you need to check out Silence Our Perdition, a metal band from Clearfield, Pennsylvania. They're fairly new in the music industry, but they're on the rise. Some songs include Slaves to Obedience, Never, Six, Left and Soulless, and An Untold Story. Be sure to like Silence Our Perdition on Facebook and follow at SO Perdition on Twitter. You can contact them on either Facebook or Twitter. Do you like sports cards, video games, or collecting interesting items? Then Pastime Collectibles is the place for you. Pastime Collectibles is a collectible store in Clearfield, Pennsylvania. Pastime Collectibles sells hobby boxes, vintage cards, Nintendo games and systems, coins, jerseys, memorabilia, and more. Be sure to like Pastime Collectibles on Facebook and follow at Pastime Collect on Twitter. You can contact them by calling 814-762-1410, messaging them on either Facebook or Twitter, or you can even email them at pastime.collectibles@gmail.com.
We'll go on to the WWE Draft, as it took place on Tuesday night, which is last night if you're us, as we record this today on a Wednesday. Still going to upload Friday, of course, as always. But nevertheless, Tuesday night on the first ever live edition of SmackDown, and they're going to continue that trend as SmackDown does move to Tuesday nights live on the USA Network. And Raw had the very first pick in this draft, and with it they chose none other than Seth Rollins with the first overall pick. I think it was a no-brainer because, I mean, Stephanie runs Raw. They've been in alignment with each other for a while now. He's a bad guy, just makes sense. So Seth Rollins to Raw, and of course, the number one pick.
Yeah, first off, it's Seth Rollins, not Seth Rollins. I think that's what you say. I could be mistaken. But yeah, the rules for the draft before Rollins was picked number one. Since SmackDown is 2 hours, they got 2 picks. And for every 2 picks SmackDown got, Raw got 3 picks because Raw is 3 hours long. Raw has more content to fill, so they need more superstars. I think WWE tried to get it past us after SmackDown went off air and started with round 7 and round 8 when it was on the WWE Network from the WWE Draft Center Live. They started, putting some more picks in there for SmackDown, and I noticed it. So SmackDown ended up getting, I think, 37 superstars, and Raw only got 33, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But there also was 6 NXT call-ups. We'll get into that here in a second. There was one in the first round at pick number 5. But yeah, Seth Rollins, first overall pick. The Architect, the Man, the founder, the leader of the Shield, as he so called it. I really, really like the pick for Seth Rollins to Monday Night Raw. Yeah, he didn't win the WWE Championship on this past Monday Night Raw because it ended in a double pinfall, and then they had a rematch last night on SmackDown. Ended up losing, and we'll get into the second pick now.
We'll get into all the other picks. Just want to mention that the way it was, the 2 picks, 3 picks, I originally thought it was going to be like SmackDown gets 2 in a row, then they get 3.
Yeah,
but it was about how
the
way the rounds went, there was just 5 picks in each round, and Raw had the first and the last pick. So they had 3 picks out of the 5. SmackDown had 2. And then you alluded to, they went to 6 in future rounds, so they both had 3 per. So
yeah, and they didn't even say anything about their having rounds.
Yeah, I thought it was just kind of...
which was, somewhat last minute on their part. If they would have... Especially if they would have gotten the information out on how they're going to do the draft by this time last week, we would have had all that and we would have done our predictions based on that. But what we did was just go by superstar. Which is pretty much how they did it, though, too, but to some point. So
the only reason they did the rounds was for the 2 and 3, I guess.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. Because then it got weird, because, that's kind of when you notice it was like a rounds-based kind of thing, because Raw had 2 picks in a row, because then they came back after the first 5 picks, and then Raw was picking first again. I'm like, what's going on here? So,
and then they had said Raw gets the first pick of every round. WWE likes to throw stuff at you any way they can, at any time they can. So, all right, they did it last night again.
Yeah, let's officially get into some of these. The second pick was WWE Champion Dean Ambrose. He went to SmackDown. So I like
SmackDown Live.
SmackDown Live. I'm never probably gonna call it SmackDown Live. It's always just been SmackDown.
Exactly. So it's been Friday Night SmackDown, and then they're calling it Thursday Night SmackDown, just SmackDown.
I always just call it just SmackDown, not Fridays, Thursday, whatever day it's on. I always just call it SmackDown. So
because it always used to be recorded on Tuesday, but now it's live on Tuesday.
So yeah, instead of they're still gonna record it. They've always been recording it. It's just gonna be live. So that's the only real difference with it. They can't edit out any botches or boos or whatnot now, but so
well, they still can if they want to.
Some boos, maybe botches, not so much.
Maybe for Roman Reigns.
He is the top. Mr. Mute the Boos, whatever. Either way, they took SmackDown Live, I should say. It's a technical term. Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan, the 2 picking for that SmackDown. They chose Dean Ambrose, WWE Champion. Can't go wrong. He is the current champion, so, I mean, not really much more to say. He's the current champ, so why not pick him? Charlotte ended up going 3rd overall. Luke, I know you don't really like that, But I understand it. You need to develop your brand, and they chose the top woman in the company right now. She's the women's champion. You got that championship on your brand that makes you look more powerful, I would say.
Yeah, Ashley Fleer, Charlotte, as her WWE name, is the daughter of the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Went to Raw. Stephanie McMahon is running Monday Night Raw alongside Mick Foley as the general manager. They're doing commissioners and general managers now, but in time they'll get rid of the general managers again and do something like that as they've done in the past. But yeah, Charlotte on Raw, but they also have divas on women's competitors on SmackDown. It's going to be interesting on how they allow those WWE divas to contend for the women's championship since it's on Raw. And with the pay-per-views, they're each getting 10 apiece or 12 apiece, something like that. And Backlash is coming back. It's going to be the first pay-per-view after SummerSlam from the Richmond Coliseum in Richmond, Virginia. I've actually been to that arena to go to a WWE event before, back in 2009. And saw a SmackDown in ECW, WWE's version of ECW, which sucked, but it was still an event. I like to get off topic, as most people know. It's also story time with Luke, as we like to call it. Going back to Charlotte, women's champion on Raw. Next pick was the phenomenal one, AJ Styles.
Phenomenal AJ Styles heading over to SmackDown as I predicted. I'll actually say it now. I'll gloat just a little bit. I got the first 7 picks right. I'll just say. On the right programs. After that, everything kind of went to crap. But either way, I was on a roll for a while there. It all ended with Brock Lesnar, who went to Raw. I'll just go out of order now. I guess it's not really a big deal if we go 100% in order. If we just kind of mentioned a lot of the names that we know and stuff like that we're interested in, stuff like that, I think that's just fine with us.
Yeah, I think everybody either watched it or
read about it or something.
Read about it, know about it now.
Know about it.
You'll definitely know about it by Friday, by the time this is up on YouTube.
Should, yes.
So, yeah, Lesnar went to Raw. I don't know why he got drafted. The Undertaker didn't get drafted. He only wrestles once a year. Lesnar, it seems like he only wrestles a couple times a year. So why not have Brock Lesnar be on both brands, Raw and SmackDown?
They had to draft Brock Lesnar. He's going to be at SummerSlam, so they pretty much have to draft him because they know he's supposed to be in the company. So it'd be kind of weird if they didn't draft him.
Yeah.
I see where you're coming from, though. He is the guy. He's a guy that, like, his character is like, I can do whatever I want. So that would make sense.
Brock Lesnar does what Brock Lesnar wants to do, as he said in his UFC 200 press conference after he defeated Mark Hunt by unanimous decision. I don't know if you heard that. That was a cat meowing. We got a little company today, but yeah.
Going through this, I'll just stick with Raw for the moment. We'll go some Raw picks, then we'll go SmackDown picks. So we'll stick with Raw. They had Roman Reigns, who many did not like, of course, because even despite him not being around, he's still not very enjoyed by the fans. They also got the tag team champions, The New Day, as well as Enzo and Cass. They got Enzo and Cass. You're not going to say how you're doing this time.
Oh, you caught me off guard there. I was clapping for the WWE Tag Team Champions, The New Day.
I'm so used to you saying
let's roll it back. Yeah, do it again.
I'm so surprised because every time I say Enzo and Cass, you always say,
how you doing?
So that caught me off guard that you didn't say it this time.
You got a couple haters.
And then
haters.
Round out this little section with, this was probably the most interesting pick of the draft initially. The 5th overall pick in the entire draft, third by Raw. From NXT, it's Finn Balor, finally.
The Demon, Finn Balor.
The Demon, Finn Balor. He comes...
Fergal Devitt,
yeah.
As I've said many times before on here.
He comes into Raw now. Another thing that we both did not like, I'm sure a lot of people didn't like, people didn't come out after being picked. They just showed a highlight clip, basically like they do on the screen when they come out for their entrance.
Yeah, like how the NFL draft or the NBA draft do, like with ESPN.
Yeah.
They'll show like a highlight reel.
Like they do that, but the person still comes out. So
yeah,
that's one thing that we can nitpick about, because it would have made it a lot better, because especially a guy like Finn Balor comes out.
Yes, because all those superstars were backstage there in Worcester, Massachusetts last night, I believe. I think that's how you pronounce it. Right here in Worcester, Massachusetts, as Mick Foley likes to say.
Finn wasn't. He was at the
whatever city they're in. But yeah, all the NXT people were down in Orlando, down at the Performance Center. But they were doing interviews. If you have the WWE Network, which you can buy for only $9.99 a month, subscribe to it. I have it.
Once again.
Orsich has it. Yeah, WWE, come on. We
keep doing it.
Been giving you guys shout outs. Yeah, we're not going to stop. We're going to do it every single week from here on out until you guys
provide that and
do something about it. And we're going to tweet at you every single day, every minute, every second of the day, every hour, whatnot.
Until you sue us.
And yeah, until you sue us. Yeah, that'll be the day. But anyways, yeah, what the hell were we talking about?
Oh, we're talking about Finn Balor.
Yeah, Finn Balor from NXT getting called up. To answer your question, not really answer your question, to talk more about why I think they didn't have the guys come out, I think you can agree with me on this, is because SmackDown's only 2 hours. They don't have as much time as what Raw has. Raw has 3 hours. Now, if the draft would have been on Raw on Monday night, which was in Providence, Rhode Island, as Mick Foley said right here in Providence, Rhode Island. Well, what the hell? I'm just going to say it. We're recording this episode right now right here in Clearfield, Pennsylvania, live from the field, as Corey likes to say. Anyways, as I said, I like to get off topic. Most people should know that by now, if you know me personally. I like to talk a lot. I like to bullshit a lot. But yeah, what the hell were we talking? Yeah, Finn Balor. Yes. Third time's the charm coming up here soon. That might be the third time's the charm already. I don't know. I don't really care. Call me out on it. Call me a dirt sheet for not liking some of these picks in the WWE Draft last night. But yeah, Balor coming up. Really, really like the pick. The 2/3 of the club, Gallows and Anderson, were also selected to Monday Night Raw with the 21st pick and the first pick of round 5. And I finally believe WWE is going to be having the Balor Club on Monday Night Raw instead of just the club, which had AJ Styles as the leader, but Styles got drafted to SmackDown. Styles is better by himself anyway. But we'll leave it at that for Finn Balor.
Yeah, we'll go to SmackDown. Little SmackDown picks here. Some of the more top picks. We, of course, John Cena is on SmackDown once again.
You can't see me.
And then they got Randy Orton along with Bray Wyatt,
the Viper, and the Face of Fear.
And also an interesting pick, Baron Corbin. Do you like it?
The Lone Wolf, yeah, Baron Corbin. I really like Corbin.
I'm just mixed on the positioning that he went, which is another reason why I'm like, we don't really need to go in order, because the order doesn't really matter. I mean, hell, the Big Show got picked before Cesaro. So the order doesn't really matter, of course. If you're looking at it, pure talent-wise, some of these guys shouldn't have been picked that high, of course. So
I agree.
That's SmackDown. It's a couple more guys. Back to Raw, you already mentioned Gallows and Anderson. Another great tag team to go with the New Day and Enzo and Cass. So,
I think they'll put over Enzo and Cass even more. They're both of them. I mean, Gallows and Anderson are obviously going to be the heels. Enzo and Cass are going to be the baby faces. Got a good feud there, but I think Gallows and Anderson will put them over even more. I mean, I think a lot of people who are diehard wrestling fans like both of them, and it will be good for TV and good for pay-per-view, good for WWE Network, which you can buy for $9.99 again, as I just said a couple minutes ago. But go on, Corey.
All right. A couple of women. They picked Sasha Banks to continue her feud with Charlotte on Raw.
The boss.
They also called up from NXT Nia Jax, who's been in part of the NXT Women's Championship a couple times when Bayley was still the champion. That's a name that didn't come
Asuka.
Up. And Asuka. That's a name that didn't come up in the draft, Bayley. But I think
we'll get more into her and
I think we will a little bit once we get to Battleground. But and then we'll go back to the men here.
Because she did not get drafted last night.
She did not get drafted.
She's been in NXT for a while. She's a hugger. I'm a hugger. I said it last week. I'll say it again. And she's one of the best. I think she's really, really hot. That's why I really like her. I'll throw that out there. But Yeah, we'll get more into Bailey here in a second.
Yeah, and I'm going to go to a quartet of guys that I think should have been on SmackDown because of basically the time that they've been in here. They can add excitement to SmackDown. Neville, Cesaro, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn. I think they all could have been on SmackDown. Neville, I understands on Raw because the Cruiserweight Championship's coming back. That's a title that's just made for him.
After the Cruiserweight Classic is over.
Yes.
Which is also on the WWE Network for $9.99. The first episode was last week. I watched it. It was really, really good. Had some good matches. Kota Ibushi, Cedric Alexander. Alexander's been in Ring of Honor. Independent scene. Ibushi's been over in Japan, obviously. Ibushi obviously he just got signed by WWE. Probably the clear-cut favorite right now to win the Cruiserweight Classic. And see if he comes right to the main roster. I doubt he will. I think he'll go to NXT right off the bat. But we'll have to see about that. But yeah, as you said, they're bringing back. Stephanie announced on Raw they're bringing back the Cruiserweight Championship, and Neville would be a perfect champion for that championship, for that title. Yeah. Yes.
We'll stick with Raw because why not?
Cesaro though.
Yeah.
Before
Cesaro.
you move on, should be on SmackDown.
Absolutely.
He would be a champion on SmackDown. He's just going to get buried on Monday Night Raw again. But as I said, and as you said. Raw is 3 hours long. SmackDown is 2 hours long. You can't have everybody, all the good guys on SmackDown, and some of the good guys on Raw. You got to try to split it up as best you can, and that's why Cesaro, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn are all on Monday Night Raw, and we'll have to see if they have another fight at SummerSlam. I know they're having a fight at Battleground, which we'll get into here in a minute. But who knows? Maybe Owens and Zayn will team up then, since they're both on Monday Night Raw, become a tag team, which WWE does not need another tag team. But, Vince doesn't care. He owns the company. He can do whatever the hell he wants. He's done it for how long? And then who knows who would come out and attack them. Maybe they have them go up against the Gallows and Anderson or, Enzo and Cass.
Yeah. Sticking with Raw, they picked Chris Jericho,
who I thought should have been on SmackDown.
Good pick, I would say there. Sheamus, as well as the U.S. champion Rusev. So they have another champion.
Crush.
They have another champion to go along with Charlotte and possibly Seth Rollins. Maybe.
Seth. Possibly
him, but they also have the New Day, who are also champions right now. They also got Brock Lesnar, as previously mentioned, Darren Young, who's battling for the IC title. That's pretty much it. A couple more women, Paige and Dana Brooke, to keep her with Charlotte. Dana Brooke is.
The thing with the Intercontinental title, which we'll get into more here in a little bit, because with Battleground Predictions at the end of the show, end of the episode, Darren Young is on Raw now. As you said, Miz is on SmackDown with Maurice. You can't have an Intercontinental Championship feud with both guys on different brands. Guy I'm looking out for the Intercontinental title is Baron Corbin for the first choice, and then for the second choice, if Seth Rollins wins the WWE Championship from Dean Ambrose at Battleground this Sunday, which hopefully he will. I mean, I could really care less as long as Roman Reigns does not win. Maybe they have Ambrose go back to the Intercontinental title and have a feud with Miz there for a while, but then that would screw over Baron Corbin. We'll just have to see.
All right, that pretty much wraps up Raw side of things. But SmackDown, they have some good talent, I would say. They have they have previous world champions in Alberto Del Rio and Dolph Ziggler. Also, The Miz is a former champion. He's the Intercontinental champion, as you already mentioned. They also got Kalisto, who's a former U.S. champion, but I think he would be better fitted on Raw for the Cruiserweight title. I don't really understand it 100% right now. Baron Corbin, you already mentioned. Also, they got Zack Ryder, who's currently feuding with Rusev for the U.S. title, so that same dynamic as you have with the Intercontinental Championship. The two guys that are facing each other are on different brands, which is a reason why I say those two matches at Battleground are pretty much worthless right now. because both guys are not on the same brand, so it doesn't really make sense.
That's why, I really didn't understand why they had the draft last night. Either why didn't they have it, following Battleground, not right before. But yeah, Mojo Rawley's coming up from NXT though too.
Yes.
And he has the Hype Bros with Zack Ryder, another tag team WWE does not need, but they stay hyped. They're going to get hyped even more now. Mojo Rawley, former NFL football player, played for the Packers and Cardinals. From Washington, D.C. too, I believe. But what are you talking about? Monday Night Raw didn't really get anybody else. They got Bo Dallas. All you have to do is Bo leave.
That after rounds, I don't even know what round, because I didn't pay attention to the rounds, but at one point it was just people I don't really care about. People that you never see on TV anymore.
Yeah.
That you probably still won't really see that much, even though they'll just be the guys that randomly are out there on Raw just because they need people.
Just throw this out there. You said you didn't know what pick it was or what round. Bo Dallas was selected in the 10th round of the 2016 WWE Draft with the 50th overall pick.
No, I'm saying the rounds in general. At a certain round, I stopped caring about.
That's what I mean. I was just throwing that out there for you.
You're just throwing out when Bo Dallas got picked, but
yeah, because all you have to do is Bo leave.
Exactly. SmackDown doesn't have that many tag teams. Of course, the championships are on Raw, but I'm talking about relevant tag teams. I'm not talking about Ascension and Breezango or whatever.
Febreze,
as I like to call them.
The Usos.
They got the Usos and American Alpha from NXT.
And then you also have Hype Bros now because Mojo Rawley got called out.
No one liked the Hype Bros in NXT. But either way.
Maybe they'll be different on the main roster because look at the Ascension. Everybody loved the Ascension in NXT. And then they get called up to the main roster. No one likes them. Maybe it's their roles are reversed there a little bit.
Who knows? It all depends on booking, really. So
yeah,
the women's side of things,
and Vince gets the final say.
The women's side of things, they got Becky Lynch is their top women right now, along with Natalya. They're embroiled in a feud. That's one of the feuds that are staying together on brands, at least, unlike the U.S. and Intercontinental Championship feuds right now.
The Owen Zayn should
that's
stay
staying together too. Yes, that as well. That hurts that. I'll get to that when we get to it. Also, they called up Alexa Bliss and Carmella from NXT, and that's pretty much it for me in court. And they also got a couple other women. I know Naomi, I do believe, and then Eva Marie, which everyone loves. I know.
Yeah, tell me about it. Carmella, she's hot as hell too, by the way.
If you're talking to Enzo Amore, yes.
Well, if you're talking Luke Goddessar too, she's hot as hell too, just like Bayley.
All right, that's all I have, Luke. I don't know if you want to add anything.
I want to add one more thing. There was one person that was eligible for the draft that did not get drafted, went undrafted. He's a free agent. His name is Heath Slater. Baby! And we'll have to see what they do with Heath Slater. I'd really like to see him on SmackDown because he's been on the cuffs. Yeah, can I talk?
Cuffs.
I've been talking too much. Thank you, Corey. I'd really like to see Heath Slater on SmackDown because, like I said, he's been on the cusp of. I still messed it up. Anyways,
forget about it.
Yeah, just forget about it. He's. What's the right other word I want to use? Since I can't. Yeah, he's been on the edge. Of main event potential mid. He's been a mid carder his whole career pretty much. He was part of the Nexus invasion back in 2010, I believe it was, with Wade Barrett, whose real name is Stu Bennett, and he asked for his release a couple months ago from WWE. He's going to be getting into movies and to film, so we wish him the best of luck. But yeah. Heath Slater, he better get a push. He's one funny dude. We'll have to see what to do with him. They better not put him on Raw because both Bo Dallas, all you have to do is Bo leave. That's third time. And then they drafted Curtis Axel too. And they split up the social outcasts. So why would you put Heath Slater on Raw if you break up the outcasts? Put Slater on SmackDown. I think they'll have a thing Heath will be looking for Shane and Stephanie, and then Shane will be come on board, and then Heath will turn into this. Maybe he contends with Miz for the Intercontinental title, or maybe he gets a WWE Championship match against Dean Ambrose, or Who knows what they're going to do with Heath Slater?
Probably just keep him a comedy act, I guess. Just kind of wondering about, not knowing what to do, not knowing where to go. He'll just randomly show up on Raw and SmackDown maybe for a while.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's not too much. If anything, we can also bring up in our Battleground predictions, we'll get to right now.
Yeah.
So we'll start with Battleground now. It's on Sunday, and it features a total of, let me try to count these, I think 8 matches it looks like, as I count, along with the highlight reel with Chris Jericho. We'll start with what's likely a pre-show match. Becky Lynch taking on Natalya, as I alluded to, and it's a match that it's not really a big deal, but I'll take Becky Lynch in this one. I mean, my only real reasoning is that babyface comes on top.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Becky Lynch, too. Who knows if this is going to be a pre-show match. As people might know, we're recording on a Wednesday, uploading on Friday, as Corey said a little bit ago. They might announce something. Yeah, it should be, as you're saying. But who knows if WWE's going to announce something before Sunday. They probably will, with another match to add to the card. I mean, because you got Neville, Cesaro, Sheamus, Titus O'Neil, the Dudley Boys, Mark Henry, Curtis Axel, Bo Dallas, who aren't going to be doing anything, and Battleground is supposed to be a Raw pay-per-view now, so who knows if they'll put any of those superstars in another match, as WWE has liked to do in the past. But yeah, Becky Lynch,
yes,
I think will beat Natalya.
Top woman on SmackDown now, so it also makes sense, I do believe. I'll just go with the highlight reel with Chris Jericho. It features Randy Orton.
The Viper,
Randy Orton, likely, obviously, to build his match with Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, which was announced on the other edition of SmackDown, 3 weeks ago now, maybe. I think it was. But probably build that up, and if anything fun happens, it'll probably be an RKO to Jericho as he does his drink it in, man thing, as he does his pose. That's the only thing I could see really happening there.
I could see Randy Orton giving an RKO there, too.
That's what I said. Give an RKO as Jericho does the drink it in.
Oh, as he does the drink it in.
Yes.
Okay.
Because everyone's really annoyed with that. It seems like lately a bunch of guys get irritated when he does that. Like on the highlight reel, with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, they both super kicked him. So
all right, yeah.
It makes sense. 2 matches that I think we've already thrown out in terms of excitement. The 2 title matches we're talking about earlier at the draft. Rusev takes on Zack Ryder for the U.S. title. Doesn't really hold much merit now because they're both on different brands, the two of them.
Rusev will retain.
Rusev's going to retain. I mean, it only makes sense thanks to the draft. Also, Ryder, why is he in the U.S. title picture anyway? Just kind of randomly there right now. And,
woo. You know it.
Maybe he'll get that push on SmackDown because it is SmackDown. There's not as many superstars, so maybe he will. Miz taking on Darren Young for the Intercontinental Championship. I'm sorry, we both have Miz retaining.
Yeah, Miz will obviously win because he's on SmackDown. Darren Young's on Raw.
Just makes sense.
Along with Bob Backlund, who has been teaching Darren Young to use the chicken wing.
Yep.
Signature move.
Again, similar to Rusev, as I already mentioned. The brand split screws this match over in terms of good match, I guess.
Yeah.
Also, he needs better competition than Darren Young. I mean, besides, Darren Young won this match by sitting in a corner during a battle royal. And everyone eliminated him.
On the 4th of July, I remember watching it. It was so stupid. Baron Corbin should have won that, but...
He should have. He looked like he was going to, but he eliminated himself.
Hopefully he gets some contention for the Intercontinental title since they're both him and Miz.
Yes, he's the guy.
As I've said.
All right, tag team matches. There's a lot of tag team matches at Battleground. We'll start with the women's tag team match. Charlotte and Dana Brooke taking on Sasha Banks and a mystery partner of her choosing. And this is where we're talking about Bayley. I think it might be Bayley.
Yeah.
Possibly as her partner. It would make sense, kind of.
It will be Bayley.
They have a history. If anyone else, it'd just be like a legend of women's wrestling.
Trish Stratus, maybe.
Something like that.
I think I said that last week. I might have told you off air.
And of course, it'll probably be Sasha and whoever her mystery partner is, because it probably will be someone exciting. And you can't have that person, if it's a debut or something, lose in their first match.
Yeah, because they're the faces, and then
that too. It's not for the title.
Charlotte and Dana are the heels, and they, as you said, it's not for the title either because it's a tag team match, and they don't have a tag team division for the women.
Yeah.
So, or a tag team championship for the women.
And they probably won't either. They don't have enough women to do that right now. Another tag team match, 6-man tag team match. Again, it's a match that features a champion, but no championship titles on the line. The New Day take on the Wyatt family for the last time because, we forgot to mention it, the Wyatt family are disbanded now. Basically, as Braun Strowman went to Raw, Bray Wyatt, Eric Rowan are on SmackDown. So
and Luke Harper still hasn't been seen since he blew his knee out back in March.
Yeah, it's been months now, so he'll be back at some point. I'm sure he'll be a singles competitor, though, as we mentioned before, I believe. If not on the show, off the air to each other, at least. But, yeah, it's another match kind of marred by the draft because you don't be able to see this again. Why are the Wyatts contending with them randomly? It's not for the championships either. I'll take the Wyatts. Why not? I mean, they never win anything. So
another reason why you should watch Battleground this Sunday on the WWE Network for $9.99 a month. As I've said, I don't know how many times now, I could care less. Because, as you said, these guys have been getting split up. And then another tag team match coming up. John Cena is on SmackDown, Enzo and Cass are on Raw. And as you said, Strowman's on Raw. Bray and Rowan are on SmackDown. New Day's on Raw. But yeah, so another reason why you should watch Battleground. I'm gonna go with Wyatt family.
Yep, I'm also on the Wyatt family.
I really like Bray Wyatt. I have since he got called up from NXT. His character is just so fantastic. He's one of the best WWE superstars ever on the mic, in my opinion, along with, say, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin. John Cena is pretty good at what he does, too. Seth Rollins is getting up there. Roman Reigns, on the other hand, flat out sucks. All he does is say, believe that, and, he's not a good guy, he's not a bad guy, he's the guy, but we'll have to see about that when he comes back from his suspension, as what WWE's been trying to keep quiet, the past month, but at the same time, they're saying his name, but they aren't saying where he's at. But yeah, Wyatt family defeats New Day this Sunday at Battleground.
Similar to Charlotte and Shimmer with that women's tag team match, titles on the line, doesn't really matter.
And the thing with the Wyatt New Day feud too, they had a match last week at the Wyatt family compound.
It wasn't a match.
It wasn't a match, but still a fight.
Yeah.
And it was filmed pretty good because WWE has their own film company. TNA did something the week before with the Hardy brothers, Matt and Jeff, with brother Nero, and that I thought it sucked, but a lot of people said it was good. I mean, I did watch it, but like I said, I thought it sucked. WWE's version of it was 10 times better. And with the WWE Draft, too, with what we just got done talking there were no returns. No one big, like Kurt Angle, the Hardy Brothers, Eric Young from TNA, as I thought, maybe. Who else was there? I don't remember, but no one returned during the WWE Draft either, which was a big disappointment. I thought the WWE Draft was a big disappointment last night because they hyped it up so much, and then with how you had said the superstars didn't even come out, when they were getting drafted, they just showed a little clip of them. I thought it was a big disappointment. But anyways, next match, as I said, John Cena.
Yep.
He's teaming up with Enzo and Cass to take on the Club, which is AJ Styles, Luke Doc Gallows, is what he was called in TNA, and Carl Anderson, who has a hot Asian wife.
If you don't already know.
If you don't already know.
By his Twitter and on WWE Raw Live. But
he has a hot Asian wife.
He's very proud of it. Yeah, I'm taking the Club in this one. Last time they'll be together. Initially, I might change this, though, as I go forward, because they aren't together anymore. It depends what they do with Gallows and Anderson. There's that possibility. The Balor Club, as we already mentioned.
Yeah.
Maybe they turn on AJ because they're not together anymore, so they say screw him.
I think this is when Finn's finally going to come out, even though he just got drafted.
Maybe. But I had the Club originally because I thought this would just be they continue to beat John Cena, and then it all leads to SummerSlam where Cena eventually comes out on top against AJ. That's where I think it ends up leading to.
Yeah, I think Cena and Styles are going to go at it at SummerSlam again against each other. And that's why I said last week, the WWE Championship would be on Raw. And so I think either Rollins or Reigns is going to beat Ambrose because Ambrose is on SmackDown. But as you said, though, too, they could do a thing like how they did with Triple H, just give Rollins a title, the World Heavyweight title. They bring it back. But leading Cena and Styles to SummerSlam, I think that, as I said last week, I thought it would be for the World Heavyweight Championship. And then Styles wins, and then because Cena's schedule is going to go down here too. He's got some other events, other things already scheduled. So who am I going to take with this match? I'm going to take the Club.
All right, we'll take the Club as well. All right, we have Kevin Owens taking on Sami Zayn, and this is one reason why I didn't like them being drafted to Raw together. It's billed as their last fight ever. And it doesn't make sense because they're on the same brand now. They can still fight. So if they're on separate brands, this would make so much more sense because they wouldn't be able to fight anymore.
But as I said, maybe they team up and become a tag team, in the future.
Either way, I'm taking Kevin Owens. This is a hard one to pick for me. I just went more personal because I like KO way better, I would say, than Sammy.
KO Mania.
I do believe this will be the match of the night, if not the triple threat match at the end. This will be the other match of the night, if anything else. For sure. Because these guys have been wrestling together for a decade, over
15, 20 years almost.
Yeah, so they always have great chemistry in the ring with each other. They feuded against each other. They fought with each other, so they know what they're doing. They'll have their own extreme spots that they'll do themselves without any, I'm trying to think of the word.
What? I don't know where you're going.
Like permission almost, I would say.
Okay.
So something like that. I think they'll pull out their own little spots that you wouldn't normally see on this. So match of the night for sure. KO for Sami Zayn.
Yeah, they've stole the show in PWG and all across the independent scene before they signed with WWE. So yeah, I agree with you. It's going to be one of the matches of the night.
Who are you picking though?
Oh, who am I picking? I didn't pick anybody yet. I thought I did. I think it's going to end in a no contest, to be honest with you. I think maybe a double count out. They'll both be around the ring fighting, and then the ref's going to be counting, and then they both get counted out, and then it leads to another match at SummerSlam.
Maybe. Then it takes away from that billing if it's the last one ever. It'll be like Rock versus Cena WrestleMania all over again. Once in a lifetime. No, we're going to do it next year. Stuff like that. But that's not as extreme. But yeah,
it's what WWE tries to do to you. Mess with your mind.
Yeah, they try to get you to believe something.
Didn't this already happen? Yeah. And they do it every single week. You just don't see all of it.
These guys are going to face each other a bunch of times. Look how many times Orton's faced Cena over the years. So,
and they're both on SmackDown again too. So
that's why I didn't put them on the same brand.
They're going to be giving each other AAs and RKOs.
That's why I didn't put them on the same brands for our mock draft because I didn't want to see that matchup again.
Yes.
So. Yeah, the triple threat match now for the WWE title, which is officially now called, not the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. So it's Dean Ambrose who's champion, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. We've pretty much always said who's in this match. I'm going to take Dean Ambrose. You have Rollins or Reigns. I'm sure you're going to take Rollins, of course.
Yeah, I hate Roman Reigns. I'd really like to see the WWE Championship on Monday Night Raw. It's what it normally is when they have two brands, and then the World Heavyweight Champion is on SmackDown. So, Seth Rollins, I think, will win Sunday night at Battleground, which is in Washington, D.C. at the Verizon Center. Never been to that arena. But anyways, I'm going to pick Rollins.
You're taking Rollins? I said Ambrose.
I'm going to take the architect, Seth Rollins. Maybe Triple H comes back and screws him, though.
Maybe
they have a match at SummerSlam then. I don't know.
Hard to say. I'm taking Ambrose, though I think they keep it on him, despite him being on SmackDown, which is a reason why you say no to Ambrose retaining. But I say keep it on SmackDown, do the thing that you mentioned earlier, give Seth Rollins the title. I already pictured in my mind, Monday night after Battleground, Stephanie comes out and is complaining how Raw does not have a world champion. And then she's like, we need a champion. Here's the World Heavyweight Championship. We're going to put it on Seth Rollins because he's the man. He's our number one draft pick. He's the top guy. We're just going to give it to Seth Rollins. And then it leads to another feud with Roman because Roman will come on and be like, that's BS in his crap promo or something. So I think that's how it plays out, if you're asking me.
You heard it here first on Across the Goal Line, folks. If that happens, like I said, you heard it here first. We bring you breaking news, our predictions and whatnot. Either way, it's going to be a good storyline, good feud.
We can agree not Roman Reigns. He's coming back from suspension. And we've seen, some of you probably have seen, how Vince is not exactly high on him anymore because of the suspension.
Yeah.
So he probably won't get that huge push. Besides, he's already won the title like 3 times.
Yeah, in his young career already. But Vince supposedly has a storyline already for Roman for a redemption storyline. So
it's not going to help him at
maybe
all over, but
maybe they go that route. I doubt they do because, as you said, it's not going to get him over anymore. The fans are still going to hate him. They're going to boo him out of the building and maybe boo him out of the country. I mean, the election's coming up. Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton are going at it. Maybe Vince is friends with the Donald, so maybe Vince sells Roman Reigns' rights to Donald Trump, and Donald Trump puts him over the border once he builds the wall that he's supposedly going to do. We'll have to see about that.
Okay, so that wraps up our Battleground predictions. There's others out there, of course. But these are ours, personally. We'll go to Goal Line Stand now, which is, of
Call
course,
us out on them, though, if you
don't like them.
If you disagree with them, don't like them, call us dirt sheets.
Give us your own predictions, who you think is going to win.
Use it, hashtag ATGL16 while doing so, too.
Yeah, we'll go to Goal Line Stand, our end of the show question time little area here. We'll start with something NFL. It's coming up soon, about 50 days away now. Arian Foster signed with the Dolphins. Do you think that's a good or bad move for the Dolphins? Not just for this season, he did sign just a one-year deal, but moving forward, possibly.
Moving forward, possibly, yeah. This year, obviously, yeah, because they have Jay Ajayi. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's going to be a second-year running back out of Boise State. He got hurt last year. Then he was out all season, so we really don't know what he's like. And then they had Lamar Miller, but he signed with the Houston Texans, Arian Foster's old team. And now Foster, goes from the Texans after getting cut to the Dolphins. So pretty much they just traded spots.
Yeah.
But I like it. The Dolphins are probably still going to suck. John Clark, you can call me out on that. I know you're a big Dolphins fan from around here. He also has his sports podcast, J-Dog and Rock Streaming. I believe that's what it's called. We gave him a couple shout-outs there when we first started. Haven't talked to those guys in a while, but I know he's a big Dolphins fan. We'll have to see what he thinks about that, too. So hit them up. Use the hashtag ATGL16, though, too. If you want to. We don't really care. So, yeah, I like the fit with Foster in Miami, to answer your question, but at the same time, I don't, because I think, he's going to get a lot of carries. Tannehill's been probably one of the biggest busts, I think, because he really hasn't done anything. The Dolphins have been, average or below average every single year he's been there. Former, wide receiver at Texas A&M, converted to quarterback for his last 2 years at A&M. Before Johnny Manziel, he was a quarterback right before Manziel. And now Manziel's up shit creek, with his life. So we'll leave that at that.
All right.
I think everybody knows about Manziel.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't need to say anything about it.
All right, question number 2. With Brock Lesnar's anti-doping violations that have recently come out, what does this do for him going forward in both the UFC and the WWE?
Well, the first failed drug test I had read, it was for a drug that is helping him with his asthma. I did not know he had asthma. A lot of people do. But obviously when he went and took the P test, it came back negative and, a failed drug test. And then everyone assumes, this guy's on steroids, this guy's, doing this and that, when, he's really not. Yeah, he is 6'3", 65 pounds. He looks jacked. He looks like an animal. He looks like a monster. He looks like a transformer, for God's sakes. And then the second one, it was for the same stuff John Jones got suspended for 3 days before UFC 200. So who knows what's up with Lesnar. The first test he failed was on June 28th, and the second one was the day of UFC 200. But to answer your question, he's probably going to get suspended by the UFC for at least 2 years, because that's what their drug policy is. You get suspended for 2 years. John Jones already got suspended for 2 years. Now this stuff comes out about him again. But he'll still be a top superstar in WWE. I mean, he's on Monday Night Raw, the flagship program. Stephanie and Paul Heyman have had their fights back in the past. Stephanie was the GM of SmackDown, and Paul was on Raw, or they were both on SmackDown, one of the two. It was back when WWE first had a draft back in 2002, shortly after that, 2004, in that time period. Next question, please. Does that answer? Right. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, sure. Last question for Goal Line Stan. Clayton Kershaw remains on the DL. They shut him down. The LA Dodgers have. So, what are the Dodgers' chances without him moving forward?
Slim,
exactly. Many people have been saying that, so not shocked about that. And
it's an even year though too. So the Giants are probably going to win the West or come in the wild card. Like we gave our baseball predictions again for the third time last week.
Yes.
Go watch that episode.
Yes. Move on to the question of the week this week. You can vote on Twitter. We'll have a poll for this, and we'll give out the results next week. The question of the week, going back to the ESPYs, the 4 NBA players, Melo, LeBron, Paul, and Wade, they talked about, do you like or dislike athletes speaking out on world issues or racial issues like those guys did at the ESPYs?
Well, I mean, Muhammad Ali did it for how long? And he was African American. It always seems it's with African Americans, in my opinion.
Well, racial issues.
Yeah.
So.
I really don't know what to say about it. I could really care less, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay.
I really don't have an opinion on it.
Yeah, okay, so you're kind of like middle. You don't really know where to lean, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, because it's been going on for how long?
Yeah.
It just needs to stop, really. And that's why I said I could really care less. This world is in a, place that it, shouldn't be. But
yeah.
What are we going to do about it? We can't do anything. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave it at that. Really, like I said, I really don't know what to say.
Yeah, for me, it's I don't really know. It's just similar to you. It's like, on the one hand, it's like, why do we need the athletes to come out and speak about this? Why doesn't our world leaders and stuff coming out and talking about it? Why is it that the only people we really see talking about this on a big stage are athletes?
Yeah.
So we're taking it to our athletes to kind of get about world issues, and they shouldn't have that. They shouldn't have to. They don't, but they need to because no one else will.
Yeah.
And they're powerful. They hold a powerful standing in our country, you could say, because they are entertainment.
They're role models.
They're role models and stuff. So they do need to kind of do
that.
Because
how many people look up to superstars and say, I want to be like him someday?
Exactly. So on one hand, they do need to do stuff like this to be positive role models, but on the one hand, they shouldn't have to. So because you need world leaders and stuff, the government and whatnot, to come out and talk about this stuff.
Yet they don't.
We have to settle with pro athletes who may or may not be 100% knowledgeable on the subject either. So, and it's more opinion based, so it's hard to say. Overall, it's just they shouldn't have to. Is my basic point.
Good enough. I mean,
good enough. Yeah. We're going to wrap it up.
It was a tough question.
Yeah, it's a hard question. It's a thinker, for sure.
It is.
You can vote for that on that poll on Twitter. We'll have it up there Friday when we post the video. So we're going to wrap it up here. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't already. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ATGL16. All those links available in the description of this video. You can answer that question of the week on Facebook or Twitter on the poll, as we just mentioned. You can also do it on Facebook in the comments for the question of the week. You can follow Luke on Twitter at CoolAndLuke96 and me on Twitter at CAMains14 as well. And don't forget to email us any questions or concerns at acrossthegoalline2016@gmail.com. And for Luke Goddard, I'm Corey Mains, and we will see you on the next edition of Across the Goal Line, live from the field.
See ya.